All right, what's up, guys? So today's another episode. We're not going to be working on the SC, which is outside right now. Last episode was that was just a couple days ago, was the exhaust. So I'll put up a link for that if you want to go check out some of the SC300 drift car stuff. But today we're going to be working on the Forester. I've never posted about the Forester ever before because it's been just the winter daily or winter beater. I've just done some brakes to it, and I did some tires. That's it, and it's going to be my winter car. So when it snows, or if I go up to Vermont and I go skiing, or anywhere in New England to go skiing, this is going to be the car to get me there. So I've always wanted to lift one of these, so that's what we're going to be doing today. And I'm going to show you how to lift your Subaru as cheap as possible, pretty much. There's probably a little bit cheaper of ways if you really want to just try and like hack things together, but this is actually kind of like the most legit, cheapest way to lift one of these things, and I'm going to show you guys right now. So what I have right here is a 40 millimeter, so just under 2 inches, spacer lift kit for the Forester. So this, I think the company is called Terra 4x4, and I ordered this kit about a month ago. At the same time, I ordered some wheel spacers, which are already on it. And the tracking said it was going to be, it's going to come in January, which is like 2.5 months away. So I was wondering, why is it going to take that long, unless they have to like make them or something like that. I looked at the tracking, and it turns out they're from Russia, and I'm in the United States. I'm in Connecticut, so that's why it was going to take super long. But literally, I just got tracking info, like an updated tracking info the other day, and it showed it was out for delivery already. And here we are, it's all right here. So that was super quick, super nice. Actually appreciate them getting it out that fast. And it all seems pretty good. This is made out of like a urethane material. So it's kind of like rubbery, like I can get it to flex like a little bit, but it's like pretty solid. And then these for the trailing arm brackets are made out of like steel, I'm assuming. And it has like this like wrinkled black powder coat on it. And then also with the kit, it actually comes with longer bolts for the trailing arms, and it comes with the longer studs to put into your top hats for these to go onto. So it actually comes as like a complete kit. So I'm hoping that's all I need to do, and I'm hoping everything comes loose. The guy before me who had this replaced all 4 struts, so hopefully everything's been like kind of loosened. The front brake stuff, when I replaced that, the bolts were anti-seized, so I'm really hoping everything with the suspension is going to be anti-seized as well. But so let me show you what tire size I went with also, because I got new tires. So before I show you the tires, the whole kind of like idea of this car is to just drive it and build it as cheap as possible, because I bought this car for $600 with a blown head gasket, well, blown head gaskets, and I redid the motor. Well, I resealed the motor. I did just some maintenance stuff in the engine, like plugs, timing belt, water pump, drive belt, all that stuff. So all maintenance for engine stuff is done. And I did like a radio and like a few other small things, and it came out to just about $1,000. So I was super happy that I was into that car with the cost of the car for $1,000. So this whole build, I could have went with some nice like suspension, some nice wheels and tires to make this thing like lifted and like make it look cool, but that doesn't fit the build of this car. So I went with the cheapest lift kit, which I showed you guys. Cheapest lift kit. I'm just using WRX wheels that I had sitting around, and I'm going to show you the tires that I got. So I'm sponsored by Toyo, so I could have gotten their all-terrains, but again, those I've just felt like they'd be too nice for this car, and I would have wanted to get some nice wheels while I'm at it, because if I'm going to get some nice tires, I might as well get wheels. So I went on Facebook Marketplace and I found a set of snow tires that were slightly larger than the stock size on this, which the tires that I got are actually a little bit skinnier, but the sidewall is taller. So the skinniness will help bite into the snow a little bit better, but the sidewall size will help lift it. I think when I did the tire calculator, I think it ended up being, I think 3/4 of an inch taller than what the original tire size was. So these are, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but they're 205 65 16s, and the old ones were, I think, 215 55 16, or 215 50 16, something like that. And these literally, I got these for $100. All 4 of them are brand new tread like this. The dude said that he ran them for 1 season and that was it. And then he got rid of the car that they were on. So I picked them up for $100. And they were pretty good. So the only thing I needed to get were spacers. In the rear was fine, but the front they start getting really close to right here at the spring perch. So I needed to get 1-inch spacers in order to just space it out a little bit. But that's not a big deal. I wanted to get spacers anyway to kind of like fill the fender area once it's lifted too. So what I'm going to do is I already have the wheels off. I'm going to try and remove the suspension. If I can't get these lower bolts out from here, I don't know if you'll be able to see them or not. They're a little crusty. If I can't get those out, I'm thinking I could just undo the 3 that are up top and let the suspension drop a little bit, and I might be able to access everything from there. But like I said, the guy had everything apart, replacing all those struts already, so hopefully it all comes loose. Alright, so the other side gave me a little bit of trouble getting the bottom bolt out right there. But this side, I sprayed some PB Blast on all of it, and it all came loose. So now everything will move around. Let me grab the light, I'll show you the other side. This side is also, the bolts are out. So now I'm just gonna go inside and get the upper 3, and then this strut should come dropping out. And then we can start throwing the spacers on. Alright, so I just got the rear struts out. One thing I was kind of thinking I was gonna need to do is that in order to, obviously, with these studs right here, if I put this on, they don't pop through. So they come with these longer studs that you have to use, but in order to get these, you have to put tension on the spring and take the top hat off in order to take this like rubber piece off so I can get to the studs and press the new studs in. So I think the front I could get away with not doing that, since that the top hat spins for the front ones, but these rear ones I'm gonna have to take apart. So I was kind of planning on having to take this stuff apart anyway, but it's now just not as quick and as easy as I was hoping it was going to be, of just pretty much just bolting these on and then throwing them back in the car. But a little bit of a setback, but I'm going to try and compress these springs and get those top hats off. Alright, so that ended up being a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So I don't know, these struts are aftermarket, so these studs might just be for like factory ones. The holes where the studs press into, the holes were too big. Once I hammered out the old studs, I went to go put these ones in. These were a little bit smaller diameter than what the hole actually was. So like I said, these are aftermarket, so the OEM ones could be the right size. So luckily what I just did, I still had the welder from set up from the other day. I just welded the studs in, so now they're all in there. So I got to do it to this one now, and unfortunately I'm probably gonna have to do it to all 4 corners now that I know that the front ones are aftermarket too. But so now these should just slide right up on top, if I can get it on with one hand. There we go. All right, so there we go, just like that. Now that will just go right back into the strut tower right there, and that one's done. So now I'm just gonna go struggle with the other back one. We'll throw these back in, and then we'll do these rear trailing arm extensions, and then that'll be done for the rear. Okay, so after 30 minutes or so of fighting, I got both of the rear struts back in. So I have just the top bolted in. I gotta still put the lower bolts in, but now the spacers are up there, and that was a pain, because those struts didn't really want to come out of the fenders when they didn't have an almost 2-inch spacer on them. So that was kind of difficult, but we're still going. I'm gonna bring it back up in the air, and I'm gonna get those bolts in. What I ended up having to do is I undid the trailing arms. That gave me a little bit more play, which is actually good, because now the next thing that goes on are gonna be these. So I'm gonna bring it up, we're gonna throw those on, we're gonna put those 2 bolts in, I'm gonna go grab the anti-seize so I can anti-seize everything under here. And then we're gonna work on the front. Alright, so before I lower this jack and stuff, I wanna show you guys, I got the lower bolts in on both sides. The top is already tightened. I just put the trailing arm little spacer brackets in. That wasn't that difficult. Luckily, all the bolts came out, so these went right back in. I put anti-seize in them, but what I had to do is that since the suspension was downward, this bracket was actually pulled this way, and the only way to get it to kind of swing back up this way, it would be to jack up this. So I don't have a pole jack here, so I ended up just using this board of wood with a jack, and it works totally fine. I did it to the other side, and this side is now 100% back together, so you can see the bracket right up in there. Everything's tight, everything's anti-seized. Now this side is the same thing, so now all I have to do is just tighten these 2 lower strut bolts on either side, and the rear is done. Then we can start working on the front. We'll be more than halfway done because the fronts don't have any extra brackets besides just those top plates, so not plates, the top studs, and then just the spacers themselves. So hopefully the front will go by a lot quicker than this was, because this has been a couple hours of me just screwing around the back. Alright, so rear wheels are back on. I just got both the struts out of the front. This side, passenger side again, just like in the back, no problems. This side over here, driver's side, the lower strut bolt, which you can't see, but the lower one, the nut was rounded out on it. Well, kind of fairly rounded out. So I had to heat it up with my my little bolt buster thing, heat up the nut, and I was able to break it free with a 1/2-inch ratchet with an a pipe on it. So I got all that apart. Now what I'm really hoping I can do, let me turn this light off before I forget. What I'm really hoping I can do, since I can see the bottom of these studs, I'm really hoping I can hammer these out and get the new ones in without having to disassemble the whole strut assembly again. It's going to be a little bit hard, but I think I might be able to squeeze the longer stud right up through here. So I'm going to get this thing attached to our vise somehow, and then I'm going to try and get these out, and then I'm going to catch up with you guys after that. Alright, so I was able to mount this piece into the vise itself and hammer all of the old studs out. They're all scattered all over the place. So the way that I'm going to show you guys how I got these new studs in. These ones actually go into the factory, like these actual holes. So I don't know if maybe in the front they just replaced just the shock itself, or if they did the whole thing, they're just different size. I'm not really sure, but these were able to actually press in. So I'm going to show you, this is the way that I was able to get them to go in without trying to like hammer them or like double nut it or anything. I just found this like steel like spacer, and I put this on first. Then I did 2 washers just so they could spin on each other, and then I tightened this nut all the way down, and I used my impact gun to tighten this. So basically what happens is that when you tighten this nut down, it pulls the threads through, like through this spacer. In turn, it then pulls the bottom portion of this stud into the mount. And then all you have to do is just loosen this up, and everything will just come right off. Let's see. There you go, nut is off, 2 washers, spacer, now the stud is in. So now all of these are in. I already installed the studs on this one, and I put the little the spacer thingy on. So now I just gotta bring this one over there, because this one's the driver's side one. Throw the spacer on, I can throw them back in, and then just put the lower bolts back in, and the front is going a lot quicker than the back did. Alright, so the front ended up fighting me in a totally different way than the back. All the bolts and stuff would go through totally fine, everything lined up totally fine, but the problem is that the inner axle CV pulled out of the like the axle cup that goes into the tranny, and it pulled out on either side, so it was preventing me from like pushing the knuckle all the way up into this upper. Like I was able to get the lower one in, but the it wouldn't pivot enough, like it wouldn't camber negative enough for me to get this upper camber bolt through on either side. So I just fought with that for probably 45 minutes. But I'm tired, and I just got it all back together. The two bolts down here are tight. So now this upper one is actually a camber bolt. And I've learned from the past with lifting Subarus that when you just do like a spacer lift like I am doing right now, and you're not spacing out anything with the control arms, it'll actually positive camber out all of your front wheels. So what I did is I just maxed out the negative camber on these stock camber bolts to hopefully, you can see it's a little positive right now, but hopefully when the wheel when the weight of the car goes on it, it'll pretty much even out. But now I'm just gonna attach the ABS wire and the brake line, and then we are all set down here. I can put the wheels back on it, bring it down on the ground, and we'll see what it looks like. All right, so I'm about to drop it down. Let's see what it looks like. Now the suspension is probably gonna have to settle a little bit. I'm gonna have to like roll it. Oh wow. I think I'm gonna have to roll it just a little bit to get the wheels to straighten out. Let's see. Yeah, so right now the wheels are a little bit positive cambered. I think I'm just gonna have to roll the car back a little bit. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean up, and I'm gonna move the car back into like the open spot right here, and then we're gonna take a look at it. All right, and there we go. So the front wheels did actually negative camber back in a little bit once I just rolled it backwards. But I don't know if you probably can't really tell on camera, but it is actually significantly taller. It's supposed to be about 2 inches, and I'd say this fender gap now is about 2 inches. I really wish I measured it beforehand to see, but in person, like the lights definitely seem a whole lot higher than they were before. Even like the front of it just seems a whole lot taller. And then with the back is same type of wheel gap. It actually negative cambered itself pretty decent. I'd say it's still probably a little bit on the positive side, but it's pretty much matched with what the front is right now. Same with this side. So for $200, it struggled. It kicked my ass a lot, but $200. It lifted it quite a bit. And since that's urethane, I kind of think that it's gonna be not like shock absorb, but it might have a little bit of cushion to it. So that'll probably be pretty good for some bumps. And I have this skid plate that I wanted to see if I had time to do tonight, but I don't. I have this skid plate off my old drift Impreza. The dude before me used to rally it. So that thing, I just held it up to where it would bolt underneath this car, and it would actually fit. The only problem is that 2 out of the 4 bolts underneath the car for the subframe are snapped in there, so I got to drill those out. So I'll save that for another day, but I do want to put that skid plate on. I've had it laying around here at the shop for like 3 years now, so I finally have something that'll actually go on, so I might as well put it on this. So, and just like that, my winter beater is now done. So like I said, I do want to put that skid plate on, but for right now it is totally drivable with the lift kit and the lift kit, wheel spacers, and the slightly larger snow tires. So if we really wanted to, since that title of this video obviously is Lift Your Subaru for Cheap, it was literally, I think it was like $205 or something for the lift kit with shipping and everything. The tires I got for $100, so I would say it's $305. And then the wheel spacers that I got, I literally just chose the cheapest ones off eBay. They're like $55. So for $360, I lifted, wheel spacered out, and got slightly larger snow tires on my Forester. So if that's not lifting your Subaru for cheap, then I don't know what is, because there's not really any cheaper option you can go. Now, if this was an Impreza, like my first Impreza that I ever had, you can take these Forester struts and put them in an Impreza, and it'll lift it like 1.5 or 2 inches just by doing that. That's what I ended up doing with my Impreza. because you could find either a junkyard, some struts. I found a dude just selling a set of Forester struts for like literally $100, and it lifts it 2 inches already. And then if you really wanted to, you could go with like the spacers and stuff like I did here. But the cheapest option for an Impreza is just throw these factory struts in, and then that already lifts it. So that's going to be it for this quick little cheap lift kit on the Subaru. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Just remember, if you want to find the lift kit, just literally search eBay. I just searched eBay and just did like 03 Forester lift kit, and then it was literally the first one to come up. It was just a bunch of spacers with the hardware. Make sure to get, I think there was one without hardware. Make sure to get the one with the hardware, so those studs in the top hats will actually fit with those spacers. But that's going to be it for this episode. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe, and I'll see you later. See ya.